Oof, so good. Sometimes it's just fun to build something that you want to, something with a little bit of class and a lot of performance. And while this may look like a fairly stock rig, what's inside of this Mossberg 590A1 that was built by Vang Comp is anything but. While shotguns like this one seem to come and go in popularity every few years, there's just something about a classic shotgun with that wood grain look to it that has modern performance packed into it from a company like Vang Comp. Some of you may be able to tell by looking at this thing, especially since it has the top mounted safety right there, is that this started its life as a Mossberg 590A1 retro build and then morphed into this beast right here. As we go through each piece of this thing and what was actually done to it, there are going to be several ways you could go with this thing. And I'm definitely going to bring up a way that could probably save you around $300 on this if you start with a different way, but get all of the same performance stuff that I had done to this. But let's talk about exactly what this thing started as. Again, it was a Mossberg 590A1 retro grade, which is just a little bit of a modern take on a classic look when it comes to a shotgun. It had the wooden furniture on it from the factory, albeit slightly different than the Woox stuff that's on it now. It does have a bayonet lug native to the front end right there, which is definitely pretty cool. It's an 8+1 design, and it has a heat shield across the top. Now, I thought that was just a super cool look when I first saw the retrograde, and I wanted to get one as soon as it came out. But I also knew I wanted to do a project with Vang Comp for the past probably like 6 or 7 years, long before I was doing YouTube, and it took me a couple years to figure out exactly what I wanted and then to be able to actually get it done. But in its stock configuration, the 590A1 retrograde is an 8+1 manually operated pump shotgun in 12 gauge with a 3-inch chamber and a 20-inch barrel. But as you can see, this is very much different now with an optic plate up across the top and of course some pretty sick ports right there on the muzzle to help keep this thing a little bit more controllable. And if you guys are interested in anything that you see here today or that I'm talking about in the video, I will have it all listed over at the parts list. It'll be the first link in the description down below. And for you brave souls casting this to the TV in your employer's break room while enjoying a Philly cheesesteak, I'll put the QR code right up here for you so everybody can take advantage. And make sure you guys are protecting yourself out there on the range with some good ear and eye pro. I've been wearing the shell shock protection stuff for some time now, and they decided they wanted to sponsor the channel. They make eye protection that's ballistic rated, and it's good looking enough to wear out on the range or out on the town. And their ear pro has a really good sound to it, and they come with those gel inserts for over your ears. That way you're getting a proper seal, which is very important to ensure that you protect your hearing. And they also gave a nice little code to help you out with 10% off. It'll be down in the description below. Now, what exactly did Vang Comp do and what did I put on this 590A1? Let's start off with that furniture. So that is from Woox, that is their Gladiatore stuff. And that thing just has not only an amazing look to it, but an absolutely amazing feel. You got a QD point on the stock in the back with plenty of length of pull adjustment and a nice buffer pad there for those 12 gauge slugs. You're gonna get M-lock up in the front so you can put another sling attachment up there. It has a much more thicker profile to it, which I find more comfortable. And the way that that thing is built up front with those humps on the front and the rear helps you engage that action much more precisely than some of the slicker polymer stuff you'll see out in the market today. It's also got an upgraded safety up here across the top, which is one of the reasons I absolutely love Mossberg, because instead of the cross bolt safety down here on the trigger mechanism, this up here is just far easier for me to work, and I'm far more consistent with this than I am with the cross bolt stuff where you have to completely break your grip to manipulate that safety. So that is a huge positive for me. And to get one that's a little bit bigger, has a little bit nicer of a ribbed profile to it, just helps when you're engaging and disengaging the safety. So Vang Comp took care of that as well. Up across the top, you'll notice that Vang Comp replaced the native Ghost Ring rear sight with their version that has an integrated RMR sight footprint right onto that setup. So now you can mount the optic of your choice in the RMR footprint direct to that thing, which is milled to fit directly onto the receiver for the ultimate in security. On the inside of the magazine tube, you're gonna get an upgraded follower, which is metal, and you also get an upgraded spring, which is so much smoother than the factory one was, and just gives you a more positive feel when you are loading the shells. There's a side saddle plate affixed to the side of the Action, and it's Velcro, so you can do quick changes for different types of load if that is your thing. There's also some absolutely insane porting up front that makes a massive difference on the muzzle rise when you're firing this thing out on the range. And since this thing is a pump, it will pretty much handle any load you throw at it because you don't have to worry about a semi-auto action. They also deburr the receiver and all the parts in there, so it's just smoother in operation all the way around. And then they finish it off in an absolutely beautiful matte Cerakote. All of the work on this thing, from the Woox furniture to all of the custom machine work in Cerakote from Vang Comp, is just top notch. It is so much smoother and recoils so differently as compared to a factory 12 gauge, but it still gives you that just satisfying sound that only a 12 gauge pump shotgun can give you. And then when you are pulling the trigger and working the action out there on the range, it is just satisfying. Something to bear in mind, and it was something that I actually struggled with a little bit, is remember the retro grades have that cool heat shield across the top. And I've always loved the look of that. It was just super cool. And it also performs a function so you don't burn your hand if you reach across the top and touch the barrel when you're really putting in the work with the 12 gauge downrange and heating the barrel up. So I kind of wanted to keep that, but on the other side, I also really wanted that Woox furniture because of the advantages of having felt that on a buddy of mine's shotgun, just the size of it, the M-lock up there, and the kind of like engagement lugs that are built into that fore-end action with the stuff up front from Woox. So ultimately, I decided to go away from having the heat shield because it won't work with the Woox furniture. But other than that, I don't have a single complaint about anything that was done to this shotgun. Everything from the Woox furniture to all of the work done by Vang Comp is just top notch. And it made this shotgun exactly what I wanted. And it's something that I've wanted to do forever, like I said, and it's something that's gonna stay in my collection forever. But knowing what I know now and what this costs, would I actually do it again, right? Because if you get that specific 590A1 retrograde, that alone, right out of the box from the factory, is going to cost you about $950, right? So definitely not budget friendly. However, if you start with one of the more budget friendly models that doesn't have the heat shield and the wood furniture already native to it, like say the M-lock version, you save about $300 right off the bat, which can help you on the upgrades later. So maybe I would have started at a different point, right? Getting the more budget friendly version and then having Vang Comp do all the upgrades and putting the Woox furniture on there and saving some coin. And then talking about all the Vang Comp upgrades that I did to this thing, that's an additional $900. And there are a ton of different options that you can choose from on Vang Comp's website. So you could be on the low end of that, or you could go several hundo higher. And then when we add the Woox stuff, that's about $399. So definitely not a cheap rig. So if you do it the way I did, you're looking right at about $2,250 in total. However, if you start with one of the cheaper 590A1 models, you're gonna come in right around $1,950 galactic notes. So it is definitely not a budget rig. However, it's one of those things you pay for once, but you love it forever. And while it may not be for everybody, this was something, again, that I had been looking at doing for several years and finally was able to get it all done. And it's literally gonna stay with me forever because it's exactly what I wanted, and it turned out exactly as I was hoping for this kind of setup, right? Now, I guess the only next thing I could do is get with Langdon and do a Benelli build with him, and then my shotgun life will finally be complete. Make sure you get subbed up to the channel. Keep doing things out on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.